Boy, is you sweating.
Oh yeah, no, I was a sweaty boy. I was in the sauna and I was watching. This is something I haven't noticed before. And the little droplets of sweat come out from your skin. Like I was looking at my thigh and there was tiny little droplets all over it.
You're talking about sweat.
Sweat glands, yeah. It's like, whoa, I have sweat glands everywhere. Yeah.
Do you want to give us a count on how many caffeine gummies you've had?
I've had a 5, 4 or 5.
Did you see on the package if they said don't exceed like 2?
I can only eat them all.
No way, man. This is gonna tie in perfectly with last week when you were talking about the pretzels. Do you remember? They're like, oh, as soon as I have one pretzel, I gotta finish the bag. But now I'm seeing this live in action.
All I'm thinking about is those gummies now. You get a taste for it. My mouth's salivating. Yeah.
All right, we just need to redirect that energy.
Yeah.
So unlike the previous pods, this one we've actually done a little bit of prep on.
Yeah. So we came up with a topic. So we wanted to talk about basically there were no victims, there were only volunteers, which was a line that you found or added to your notes, and I thought it was really interesting because it's something that we agree on very deeply. You choose to do things. You're never in a situation where you can't choose something else.
Absolutely. Do you want to kick things off with what you found?
So I was looking into a bit of research done by a New York Times bestselling author. He's a corporate consultant. He's Joe.
You're talking about Joe Dispenza?
Joe Dispenza. Yeah. I was listening to a bit of his work and he was talking about neuroplasticity and the ability to kind of reprogram your brain into a different way of thinking. And he's got the largest gathering of research into this in the world. So he's measured brainwaves, measured brain frequencies of brainwaves, and done scans on brains and looked at the ways that it can change. And the heart rate is one of the things that he noticed would drastically impact the way that you think and feel. And one of the ways to control that is by meditating and using breathing. So if you control these two things, your heart rate slows down and then your brain allows itself some time to kind of not have a build-up of cortisol, which a lot of people have all the time. Like the stress levels are extremely high, anxious, worried. But if you control your breathing and allow yourself to just relax, the effects of that can be outstanding, to the point where people have literally been disabled, been in wheelchairs, and then been able to recover from that. It's insane.
Now, I remember you were also talking about one time that you started incorporating the breathing into work routines, so that it helps just calm you down a little bit, get your level head. Is that still working for you?
So yeah, I still do it. I didn't necessarily, this wasn't because I read something. I was just at work one day and I was fucking stressed, man. So I just took a big deep breath in and let it go. Did the same thing a few times just while I was sat at my desk. I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths in and out. And I could feel like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was quite exceptional. And now I've been doing it all the time.
That's cool. It's funny to me that you arrive at things kind of naturally that you think about. You're like, there's a situation that I'm not happy with or that's challenging. So I'm going to figure out a way to deal with it and make it better or manageable. And you came up with this thing kind of by yourself. And it's strange to me that other people don't actively do this for things that they're unhappy with, dissatisfied with.
I think it gets easier the more changes you make, and the better position that you're in, you can start tweaking things and fine-tuning them. So I'm not in a particularly bad situation. Like, I'm managing my stress okay, but it was a particularly stressful day. Making that initial change at the start is what's difficult, right? So to get to the point where we both are, we've had to go from somewhere rock bottom. And that first change is what's really hard, but what you're not changing, you're choosing. And that's something that I saw as well.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's called. What you're not changing, you're choosing. I think I sent you something about this as well.
So what would you say are the biggest, can you give us top 3 things that cause you stress?
It's a frame of mind. I think your fight or flight is just constantly active for so many people. Mine certainly is. And a way to manage that is by breathing and meditation. But that's just naturally. It's nothing that causes it specifically in my experience. I know that I have snus, like nicotine. That is shown. There's various studies to show that increases anxiety and depression.
Right. So we'll know that might be a contributing thing to the anxiety.
It is my one vice, though. Like, I barely drink anymore. It's my vice, which is just an excuse.
In how many days, Matt?
Since
your last drink.
Listen, I've not stopped drinking. I've just managed it a lot more. My drinking used to be, going out after work, 6 o'clock, going back to work at 6 a.m. straight from the after. So my drinking now is maybe calling it at 12, midnight, 1 o'clock.
That was impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was
Bit
with
respect for
yourself,
that
yeah. That was fun, actually. We went and played paddle. That was good. Paddles are good. Kind of not too intense sport where you can kind of mess around. You can do it all shapes and sizes, just like the gym.
Yeah, there's a very diverse attendee list at the paddle place.
Yeah.
But
some serious skill stuff.
Anyway, I was thinking you started the paddle, and this is something you could probably become really good at, don't you think?
I think most people could, to be honest.
I think it's that tricky.
No, it's a technical sport, isn't it? It's like racket sports we both quite enjoy, but I think you've got to have a certain degree of hand-eye coordination to be good at it.
Being able to read the game, and I'll tell you what happened actually. Do you remember the first game we started with? And we were playing against my brothers, and they were crumbling.
We thrashed them.
And I could see what was unfolding. It's because they couldn't communicate properly. They were yelling at each other, and I could see their inexperience show. Because I've played racket sports, especially doubles, for a long time, so I know how to manage the dynamics of playing with a partner. And we were locked in from the get-go. There was never any dips in motivation or how focused we were. It was non-stop from the first point until we won.
Yeah. Well, it goes off like you got to chase the carrot. If you're criticizing, criticism is futile. There's no use for it. If you're criticizing people, the only thing that does to them is makes them become defensive. And then once they get defensive, they'll get angry, and it's just a downward snowball, and it leads to nothing positive. If you
this is a good one. So, do you remember the last time you were offended by something?
No.
Me neither.
No. People could say anything. Someone walked past me and called me nigger, like straight out of the block. In Manchester.
Was that me?
Probably. There was this guy we were walking around in Manchester in Didsbury, and there was like loads of riots about immigration and stuff, and just walked past me, and you
didn't even get it right. I mean, you got no black.
I know,
right?
like he could have said another slur, you know what I mean? But it's even more offensive.
Is there a slur for?
Packy's the one that you get thrown around the most, right? This actually the first time somebody said that to me. I was in primary school, and he was the only other brown boy in my class. It was so funny. It's like friendly fire will not be tolerated.
That's funny, man.
Yeah. So I didn't know what it meant. I was like, "Thank you,
go Packy."
Bye, Packy. Yeah, I can't remember the last time that I was offended. I genuinely.
I kind of laugh whenever someone tries to say something insulting, or even if it's criticism. Even if they're right, I'll laugh at either if they've got it completely off the mark and I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about, so it's kind of funny. Or I'll laugh and I'll think, wow, stupid me for not recognizing that sooner. In both circumstances, I'm kind of pleased at hearing it.
Yeah, it's not. If you take offense to somebody, you just give.
You give your power away.
Not only do you give your power away, but you lose a bit of respect for yourself. I think anyway. Like I said, I wouldn't.
I think it's a sign of intelligence of how easily offended you are.
I see that.
Because if you can make the connection between how people's words have no real bearing on your feelings, I think that shows like a lack of cognitive discipline in recognizing, oh yeah, this person's words don't really mean anything. They're not connected to truth, and yet I'm still offended by them. It shows like your processing is not really there, your logical thinking. You
have got me thinking though, like when was the last time I was offended? Because I can't think. I think.
Shall we try right now?
What, just...
Packy.
I'm out. It's enough. Call it. No, there's nothing that could offend me. If someone calls me fat when I'm fat, I'll lose weight. If someone calls me Packy, I'll bleach my skin. There's nothing that could offend me. I know my worth. Like at the start when I joined this new job, I didn't get along with anyone there really. Still don't particularly. And there's not many friends that I have at my work.
So they're always criticizing you?
I've fit in somewhere everywhere that I've been before here. Like this was the first struggle I'd had to fit in somewhere.
And why is that?
They were just not my people. They're still not my people, but I'm good at the job and it doesn't faze me at all anymore. I've got a great circle of friends outside of it.
What would you classify as your people?
Just people who make me happy. If you come away from socializing with somebody and you feel worse off than if you'd gone and seen them at the start, then they're not my people. If you feel a lot better, they're my people.
Okay, so can we pin that down to some characteristics? Is this meaning like people who are uplifted, positive, optimistic?
Not too much. That makes me. That just pisses me off.
Oh, really?
If you're, yeah. No, I'm shit. No, it doesn't. Like, I don't know.
Okay, I've definitely felt that finding your people becomes harder as you get older.
Yeah.
Especially as you know yourself better.
But also, you're surrounded by people in school. Like, you've got a huge pool of people that you meet every day, so it's easier to choose people naturally.
That's true. And I think for people who are at, let's say, uni or school, you don't know yourself well enough to distinguish between other people. You can't say, oh, this is what my personality likes and dislikes are like, because you haven't really had time to discover it. And so you blend with everyone because everyone's at that same level of they kind of don't really know who they are, and so everyone meshes together. Whereas now, you've had years to get to know yourself better and realize, all right, this is who I'm like, and this is who I enjoy spending time with, which then starts to eliminate.
Do you try to identify qualities of people before you become friends with them? Because I don't look into it that deeply. I'm just
like the homeless man on the street. We're vibing.
Yeah, we're vibing. I mean, I don't know in which situation I'd be vibing with a homeless man on the street, but
his story
never say never.
Earlier, you were a blender.
So we'd like to hear people's thoughts on this. Actually, it'd be good to get some feedback.
Oh, we're gonna go. Well, how about we'll put a pin on this and finish the question you were on about how you decide if someone's like gonna go into your friendship circle or not.
There's no fact that I'm not very discriminative.
Not a word.
Yeah, I guess you can discriminate against people because of their characteristics, personalities.
Okay.
Right. So I wouldn't, just because somebody doesn't make money or doesn't go to the gym, doesn't have things in order that I do, wouldn't make me not be friends with them.
So you would be friends with anybody?
Yeah, as long as they added value to my life.
God damn it, woman. All right, we need a hard reset here.
Yeah. So we're talking about victims. There were no victims, only volunteers.
So where do you sit on the whole trauma thing?
Trauma. We're looking into this recently.
Yeah. Tell us what you learned, Matt.
Well, if you think about trauma on a daily basis, which a lot of people do, then...
You mean their trauma, or are they like philosophizing that?
Yeah, so anytime you're reminded of trauma, then you immediately have cortisol levels increase. You start stressing, you get worried, you get anxious. So trauma, in order to overcome trauma, you've got to kind of change the way that you think about those experiences. You gotta approach it from a new perspective, a new consciousness. So you allow yourself to think in a more positive way, and then you can revisit the trauma. But you don't just think about the trauma and think of ways to overcome it, because then you'll get stressed. So you want to approach it from a new kind of baseline, a new perspective.
Would you say you've got some trauma?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does the trauma feel like to you?
For me, I've locked it away.
Okay. You don't even think about it?
I try not to, that's all.
So how do you know it's there?
Because I do sometimes think about it, and I think it's probably had long-lasting impacts on my life.
Okay. That's interesting, because I don't think I've got trauma, so it's hard for me to relate sometimes when people talk about this. I'm like, I don't really know what that experience is like. So I don't know if this idea we're talking about of just thinking about it differently works as easily as we're saying, where you just think about it differently and it goes away. I know the current consensus around trauma is it's like this huge thing that you're burdened with for life. That's the perspective I hear a lot.
There's not many solutions that you hear about trauma. It's just like, I've had this trauma. I suppose so. I think therapy is important, even if you're not doing badly. Like, I want to go through therapy now. I've not done it yet. I want to experience it when I'm at a pretty good place, because you'll start to pick apart. You won't be relying on it as much. You'll just be looking for ways to improve. But there's no what damage could therapy possibly do?
Potentially not. I don't know. From my experience, it's not actively harmful, but some ideas aren't necessarily useful to you.
Yeah.
I'll think of this as, let's say, raising a kid, someone who's very impressionable, and you're telling them ideas, opinions, viewpoints about the world. And some of them might be really empowering. Things like, you can do excellent. Things like, if you wanted, you could become anything, you can learn anything, whatever you want, it's an option to you, and you're strong, resilient, secure. All the things that would make this person capable of doing whatever they want. But I think of that as a scale, right? Where on one end, you've got really abusive, neglecting parents who tell their kid they're bad, or they don't give them the things that they want, and so the kid ends up like a weak, insecure, not very competent person. And so between those spectrums is where a lot of advice lies. And I think for some therapists, you're not necessarily going to get the best top end of that spectrum. You might be somewhere in the middle where the therapist is like, yeah, this is what my opinion is, or this is what I think. And based on that opinion, you will then form a perspective on the world about what you can do and your capability. Not all therapists are going to go in and say, you can do anything.
From what I've heard, therapy is more about kind of unlocking yourself rather than people giving you advice on things.
There is no style of communication or therapy that does not impart the person's own perspective and opinions to who you're speaking with. It's always colored by your own perspective, because there's no such thing as neutral questioning. The question is always charged in some way. If I'm asking you about a particular topic, I can frame it in a certain way so that I'm leading you down a certain path. You talked about this one time where you can be almost manipulative with your questions or conversations because you know that question was prime.
It's your favorite album.
So I'm like, most people do this naturally. Like they're doing it unconsciously even, where you'll ask almost like a rhetorical question. Oh, did you do this thing? Knowing that someone did.
Yeah.
Or you're asking a leading set of questions to say, because you know where it's going to end up. Now, I'm not saying therapists are deliberately doing that, but they have their own beliefs, worldviews, and perspectives that color those questions and then eventually end up in that person.
Also, like, there are people out there that are more intelligent and will give better advice than therapists.
100%. This is the thing. This is my thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if I want advice, rather than go to some academic who's theorizing about it, the only person I want advice from is someone who's lived the life I want.
Or doing better than you in some area.
That's it.
That's where you want to live.
That's
we make jokes about, like, if you got PT and like a bag of donuts and I like, if your PT's in worse shape than you, then why would you listen to them? I guess they have the knowledge, and they could potentially help you in some ways, which is another way you've got to be careful, because just because somebody, you might be able to learn some things from these people, but academics, they might know things that you don't know, which they've not been able to take advantage of.
That's true. Like learning from the knowledge of other people.
Exactly. So you can still pick apart lessons. You just got to be very selective about the lessons that you pick.
It's true. But then what credibility does someone have?
If they've dedicated their lives to studying something.
Sure. That in that particular case, if we're talking about professional academics, then I'm going to give them some leeway. But
that's kind of you. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. Academics across the world.
But if it's like random people on the street, their advice doesn't have any credibility.
I love listening to people's opinions on things, and I try and draw from it as well. Like, I think you can learn from most.
I used to think this. I was open-minded to everyone, and then I realized this is the wrong approach.
You can be open-minded. You've just got to evaluate what they're saying and come to your own decision of whether that's advice that you want to listen to or not. Depends how easily influential you are.
And for most people, I think the advice is not worthwhile.
No, I agree. But then you might pick apart some lessons from it.
My new approach is to be almost dogmatic, single-minded, and I believe now. I went through this phase of not knowing anything and then being open-minded to learning a ton of shit, and then arriving back at thinking, all right, now I know everything.
I know. Because you say things to me and I try and pick them apart in every possible way. I'd like to think that tests some of your thoughts and processes.
That's why I like our conversations.
Yeah.
Because I also want to find the flaws in these arguments.
Yeah.
Because they form. I don't hold opinions lightly. If I think some things, because I've thought it through a lot.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's able to poke holes in it, I'm like, damn, looks like I need to go back to the drawing board with this one.
I need to think more about what I believe in. That fundamentally.
That relationship stuff we were talking about, I thought about that for ages.
Yeah.
And I was trying to dissect it myself. It was like a hypothesis I thought up in my head, and I was like, all right.
Which relationship is this? About
no relationships being obligatory.
Yeah.
So I thought about this hypothesis because I was like, surely you don't have to engage with anyone. And then I spent ages picking it apart. I was like, are there holes in this argument? And eventually I was like, nope, this holds up. So now that's going to be a belief.
Of course, they're not obligatory.
Yep.
My counter was that, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. However, it can be difficult when you have emotions involved because you care for that person to the extent where you're willing to put yourself at detriment because you don't want to see them do badly.
Because you don't want to see them too badly.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about you again.
No, it's about them.
So this goes back to the other conversation.
We're going in circles here. You can do things that are selfless.
Did we have this conversation on
Probably.
the pod?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not yet.
Because it feels like the third time we're having this.
I know. Probably weren't filming or the mic kick up.
Okay, do you want to run it again?
Yeah.
So in this example, you care about someone, but helping them causes you some detriment. Maybe your time, maybe money-wise, whatever it is. But what is the outcome of that?
The feelings that you have for that person,
yep,
whatever they might be, in my opinion, the key driver for you helping them, for you, in your opinion, is because you want to make yourself feel better having helped them.
But if you didn't feel better, you wouldn't do it.
That's not necessarily true.
Of course it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, let's break it down. We can think of, you help a person out, and afterwards you feel really bad about it.
You're saying, I understand what you say. You're saying that the alternative is worse for yourself than helping them.
No, I'm saying your brain is conditioned to do things that it likes.
Yeah.
So food, sex, like rest, all these things give you that dopamine hit and make you feel, and so you want to do them.
You're resting like, yes. What do your rest look like?
Maybe the rest is not going to be dopamine. I don't know, maybe it is. Sometimes I feel great after a nap.
Yeah, it's true. 5 minutes napping. I used to nap all the time.
I don't know where I don't nap anymore.
There's no time.
Mate,
humans used to have 2 sleeps, right?
I tell you what I got the other day. I was napping in the afternoon and I got sleep paralysis.
Did you? I want to try that, man.
Ever.
How was it?
Freaky. It was really freaky. I could see myself laying down in bed asleep.
That sounds
I was awake, but I couldn't move anything. I kept trying to force my body up and it wouldn't move. And then I kept like drifting in and out of this dream state where I was dreaming I was laying on the bed and couldn't move. And I was there for an hour just looking at my body, like, come on, like exerting a lot of effort trying to get up. And then eventually something snapped and I just woke up and I'm still there. And I'm like trying to move around and suddenly I can move again.
That's so weird. What did you think at the time? You must have been really confused.
It was like a nightmare.
Really? So it was like, it wasn't fun.
No, it was not fun. I was like, I'm stuck in this state. I don't know what to do. I knew I was dreaming, but I didn't know how to get out of it.
Imagine someone just came and slapped you. Would you?
I don't know.
Would you still just move back?
I was hoping someone would snap me out of it.
I'll just check on you every night. Just come in.
Just come in, don't knock, and
slap me. Oh no, you're good. Don't worry, I got you, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad I've got that contingency plan.
Oh, you weren't up thinking. Just like several times a night. Oh man, I'm sweating. It's pretty warm in here.
It's toasty.
I think the light, right?
I think the light puts out a ton of heat.
Yeah.
I'm starting to cook.
Let him cook. I heard hot drinks are supposed to cool you down. That's what they say in Asian countries.
So when you see the marathon runners, and there is...
They don't hand out.
Teas.
It might be in Asia.
The Asian marathon runners are sipping tea on their marathon tab.
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know either. Actually, you could be right on this. We're gonna let the silences sit for a while.
Yeah, because we've been struggling. Not struggling. It's just in natural conversation compared to a podcast. You have those silences, don't you?
So I can always just clip these.
What, the silences?
I can just clip it.
So you just make a clip of it sat there.
No.
Take a montage of all of the times they just sat in silence.
I meant clip as in cut. Cut them out.
No, I did get that. It was a joke. I'm in my fresh iron shirt. It's looking nice.
So we need some new outfits for you.
Yeah, we do. I kind of want to splash a lot of money on some new ones, some really nice clothes.
So when you look at clothes to buy, what's your inspo for this?
I don't go in with a game plan when I'm clothes shopping.
Oh wait, this is perfect. I'm glad you said this.
Yeah.
Your aversion to planning is really interesting.
This is great, yeah. So you plan everything pristinely. I just don't.
And, oh man, I came across a quote the other day about planning, and it reminded me of you. I'm going to see if I put it on my list.
I'm guessing I did not relate to the quote whatsoever.
Oh, here we go. Yep. You can design... Oh, fuck. Take two. You can accomplish tremendous things in your remaining years if you'll design them before you live them.
Okay, but in my eyes, I've already accomplished some pretty tremendous things.
Matt doing his bed this morning. Yeah. Still, guys.
Not tremendous, but I know that I will do.
You know that you will do.
Yeah, without planning.
Without planning.
I'm not following a plan for this training, for that if I'm that.
There's some sort of a plan here, right?
No.
Of what you train. Okay, fine. No plan. Zero plan. What if you did a plan and you perform better?
That's great, but the cost for me mentally for planning, I hate it. I hate planning things.
Okay, why do you hate it?
I just don't like it. It's so boring. And it also restricts me to doing things that I might not want to do in the moment.
Okay, how about this? With this Ironman, do you care about the outcome?
I just want to finish it with the time.
There we go. So, in which case, planning won't really make that much of a difference to get that goal, right? You'll probably complete it no matter what. If I was doing an Ironman, I'd want to place as well as I could, and therefore I would have to plan to achieve that goal. I
saw this one in Melbourne, Australia, and it was in like the start. So they had a thing called the mass start, which is where obviously everyone starts at the same time. Now they do it in kind of waves. So you had like hundreds and hundreds of people diving into the Australian Ocean.
This is an Ironman?
Yeah, full Ironman. The waves were massive. There was like big storms. The waves were huge, and they were just steaming through it. Like mine's in a flat lake in Bolton, which is going to be cold, but they were sea swimming. The currents were insane. If you look at the video, it's insane.
It's always a good reality check when I see people do these incredible things. I'll say, man, I'm not even close to pushing myself.
Yeah, you're just scratching the surface. Like what the human body is capable of is incredible. We used to hunt our prey by outlasting them in endurance. Look at us now.
Now
you run a 5K and you're like, fucking yes.
Or you make your bed, you're like, I'm tremendous.
You don't need to plan, right? So this is another thing. I don't plan my workouts. You go into the gym and you have a strict plan of what you're going to do for each day. I had no clue what I was doing this
morning. But what are your goals for the gym?
At the moment, the main reason I go to the gym is... The main reason I'm always going to the gym is mental.
Right, there we go. In which case, planning doesn't really help that.
In a sense, it could. Because you could, if you plan something, you could plan to your capabilities. So if I go in there, I might not push myself as hard as if I'd planned to do something because I know that I would have to finish that. But the way I justify it is because I always push myself hard in the gym without having to plan anything.
The assumption there is pushing hard in the gym is the best option every time. As opposed to directing that energy in the right place and being strategic with that.
I think the harder you train in the gym, the better it is for you, generally. You've got to go pretty intense for it to be.
No, I think this is one thing we disagree on.
Really? How so?
I think being more strategic with that energy and what you train is far more important than how hard you train.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, if I hit the right muscle groups every single day for a month, compared to if I go and randomly smash out whatever body part I feel like every day for a month, which of those do you think is making better progress?
It depends how hard you train.
Well, we'll use you as an example, right? Let's say you smash it out really hard, and then you're not working in optimal breaks between muscle groups, or your sets are the right tempo, whatever it is. Yeah. Which one of those is making better progress?
It depends if you plan it, as long as you stick to the plan. But I hate planning so much that if I know that I've got to do that on that day, I might just not go to the gym at all.
Sure, but we're not talking about which one is getting better results. Yeah. If that's your goal. If your goal is to optimize for outcome and results, which one gets better?
Yeah, plan.
Okay. In which case, that's the only thing I'm thinking. But like I said, that's not your goal.
Yeah.
Your goal isn't to get shredded or massive or whatever. It's just the benefits all going to the gym.
The benefits of going to the gym for me is purely mental. At the moment, I have to do it because I want to stretch and get mobility for the training and stuff like that. A lot of people would have to plan to do that. You know, like, but I'm managing okay. I've had a look at training plans to know where I should be up to, right? But I've not followed the plan.
That's cool.
Actually, I did it for a week and I was like, fuck this.
And it works for you because you have enough energy to be able to just do whatever is necessary every day.
I know that I need to do it. Like, there's not a part of me that says, like, thinks like, oh, I'm going to have to do it. After this, I'm going to go on and do, like, at least 15K.
My new kind of opinion on this is more around efficiency. Because I used to just push myself crazy hard all day, every day. And then my body gave out. And now I'm a bit more economical with how I expend my energy. I'll think, what's my body trying to tell me? I can't just go ham like an idiot every single day now.
Yeah, I'm massively contradicting myself because we spoke about like the Messi and Ronaldo of endurance sports, and I spoke about how he described the bank account.
Oh yeah,
depositing, withdrawing. You do have to train pretty hard for it to reach that levels, and with gym, in a sense, it's slightly different because you're choosing which muscle groups to train each time. So if you train legs and then the next day you train back, you're not going to overdo your legs. Do you know what I mean? So you can give them
risk of overtraining on that kind of schedule.
That's kind of what I mean. I think that's important that I state that, because with running, if you run every day and you do a really fast run, like 3 days in a row, your legs won't have time to recover. So it's slightly different. Yeah, maybe I should start planning. Who knows what my life would look like? Maybe I'd improve dramatically. I think most successful people plan.
I don't think it's possible to achieve anything like substantial without planning.
I kind of want to prove you wrong.
Mate, you'll definitely die trying.
What about full Ironman? I'll do the full one. That's pretty substantial.
If you do a full Ironman without planning, what does not planning mean?
Not planning what I'm going to do every morning.
As in, you'd wake up and you just do whatever feels good.
Yeah. I think I could do that.
See, I don't know enough about an Ironman to know if that's...
So it's a 4K swim. So that takes about 2 hours. Well, if you're going at not a particularly fast pace. And then you've got about 7 hours of biking, 8 hours of biking, and then you go a marathon at the end.
Let's say at the end of the training, you're finishing a night out and you're like, I've got the stamina to run the 20 miles home. Is that something that occurs to you?
No.
I'm just thinking, what are the practical benefits of doing this? And building up your stamina to this level?
That's a good question. So it's not about that for me.
Okay, there's no practical benefit.
It's not even a health benefit. Like, I don't care about it.
Probably going to damage your body tremendously, like finishing this.
Like joints, like even like excessive running. My dad's knees have gone because he used to do a lot of running when he was younger. His joints going to need a knee replacement soon. The reason why I am doing these things is because I know, setting myself some kind of structure or an end goal, I'm going to be in the gym every morning. There's no question of if I feel like it, I have to be there. That's why I've introduced this half Ironman. That's why I'm going to introduce another physical challenge after that.
Do you think this is you at capacity?
No.
So you could technically have a bigger target or goal to work towards.
There are people with families, like 2 children, young babies that do Ironman.
The guy I sent you the video of.
Yeah,
the German guy, and he's doing a double ultra.
What even is that?
2 Ironmans in a row.
Fuck me.
And he was like, oh yeah, I gotta fly over, because he's some director at a company, but I think he's like 30 something, so early 30s, and he's flying around Europe doing this shit, and he's like, I'll still plan my training to where I'm traveling. It's so all consuming because it's like you have to be so disciplined with what you plan. And I'm thinking that's where I would like to see you at, where you have no...
So you want me to do a double ultra triathlon? And then you'll believe that I can do it without planning?
Yeah. That's the level.
Challenge accepted.
Because that sounds super tough. That sounds like it's impossible to do without planning.
I think you take away like how impressive it is to do like even a marathon now. Like it's really tough.
I think the numbers are going up.
Can you look up how many people, what percent? It'll be less than 0.1% of people in the world have done a marathon.
So 0.01 have done an Ironman.
0.01%. Yeah, so that's 1 out of 10,000.
So if you're doing a half, does that put you at 0.02?
I don't know if they go hand in hand, because a full is so much harder than a half.
So you could be like, still, it's got to be within the
0.05, I reckon.
top 1%, something like that.
Yeah. If you do how many people have done a triathlon, because that's the lowest it's classified as a triathlon. So like 20%.
Which is 90%. What? Turns out it's a lot easier. You're expecting, but apparently it's 5%.
5%?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
I mean, this is what this. Anyway, I don't even know what point you're trying to make it.
Because you don't get credit, like, well, it's not like I want credit. It's just like it's not respected as much as maybe it should be. It's still a really hard thing to do.
Most achievements within their domain are not respected by outsiders because people don't understand what it takes.
I guess it also, like, it's just so much less impressive than what other people are doing. So they're the people that will gain traction, you know?
You mean that, for example, the guy sent you?
Yeah, like, me doing a half Ironman, it's like, what do you do? And then this guy's just doing, like, a quadruple I'm doing all in one go. It's insane. So I guess if you want to kind of...
The bar gets higher and higher.
Yeah, but that's only if you're looking for outside kind of fulfillment from it, like, or people's opinions. But I'm not. The reason that I set myself to do it was just because I wanted to make myself better. And if you've got that, I nearly said plan. If you've got that structure in place and, you know, the goal in place,
yeah,
then what that's going to do for you is it's going to make you better because you're going to exercise. When you exercise, you can feel better, you can do better in work, and you can eat better, sleep better, everything better.
It'll be interesting to see what your mindset is like at the end of this.
What, just before or after I've done it?
After you've done it, to see, first of all, whether it was worth it and whether you think how much of an impact it had on you. Yeah, mentally, day to day.
It's definitely improved. I'm in a better place. Do you remember me 3 months ago?
That was a different Matt. I would not have been happy with being on camera with that man.
You were ready to cut me off. There's a red, like I saw it in your eyes.
There was an orange flag waving, flying your head. I was like, patience.
It's like, yeah, burgundy. Yeah, no, I was deliberately pushing myself to rock bottom because I wanted to have the drive to set myself straight again for January. So I was drinking loads. And it was intentional. I told you before I did it. I want to put myself in the dirtiest, fattest, slobbiest position that I possibly can so I can come back.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, and it worked. I was just eating Greg's twice a day and Mackie's breakfast, then I had Greg's for lunch. I was going out like 4 times a week. It was good, but then I just became like an empty shell of a person.
Do you miss that?
No. I don't know why I paused then.
Because you might have missed it.
No, I didn't miss it. I don't miss it. I think it's easier, isn't it? In some ways. In a lot of ways, it's not.
How is it not easier?
Because you're less of yourself.
Oh, I thought you meant it's not easier to do that.
Yeah, but so it's not easier to do that because it's easier in the sense that it's easier just to follow your immediate desires straight away, right? Yeah. But then mentally it's tougher in the long run because you're going to be in a worse position. You're going to have less endorphins.
Do you think that's how most people feel day to day? Because that routine, even though it was kind of fun for you, that's actually a lot of people's normal weekly routine.
Yeah. And then they'll see people and compare their lives to them and then be like, why is my life not here? Without wanting to make any change.
It's true. All right, let's get some fresh air.
Yeah, we're just splurging shit at the moment.